Hey everybody, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. And today we're taking a look at this knife here. This is the Civivi Exarch. Yeah, this is an older knife for sure, but I thought it was a good one to take a look at. This is the very first Civivi I ever bought, and yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So let's start off with our blade length measurement, size comparisons, all that good stuff. Blade length. You can see we're coming in, between that 3.5 and 3 inch mark. We're going to call it a 3.3 inch blade. All right, so let's go with our size comparisons. To start us off, as always, here are the rats. There's the 1 and the 2. So just a little bit longer than just a hair longer than the rat 2. Just a hair. Alrighty. Next up, let's bring out PM2 and the bug out. So yeah, this knife is actually a little bit longer than you would think. It's kind of deceptively longer than it looks because of how narrow it is, how short it is this way. So that brings to the table a few interesting things. Okay, next up, let's go and let's do our parade of Civivis. Here is the Elementum and the Praxis. Yeah, not a huge knife at all. And let's close up the size comparisons with, let's compare against the Statira, which is, to this day, my favorite Civivi. And we'll compare against the Fracture, because it's kind of the same blue vibes. Yep, that's how size comparisons work here. So, yeah. What are we looking at here as far as materials and everything? So obviously, as you can see, this is a front flipper. G10 scales, steel clip, a steel liner lock, and the blade steel is D2, I believe. Yeah, D2. Right there. Alrighty. Drop point, hollow grind. How does it perform? Well, let's go see. Alrighty, CRKT Exarch. Is it a cardboard destroyer? Well, what do you think? It's a Civivi. It's like 15,000. I think this one's actually 14,000 behind the edge. What did you expect? It destroys cardboard. Now, I would not choose this to be my cardboard cutting knife because the blade's not very tall, and also the ergos the ergos are what they look like. Plus this clip just really makes the ergos a pain. So not a cardboard cutting knife. However, for like kind of smaller EDC tasks, you could maybe carry this in like a fancy environment. Yeah, where you're just, cutting small things. Yeah, this will work just fine for you. How's the action? Great action. Great action. How's it carry? Well, look at it. In the pocket. Yeah, we'll talk about that. It carries fine. It's very light. It's very unobtrusive. The clip is not sunk into the scale, and it has button screws, and those do get caught. Yeah, those can cause a problem. Overall, though, this is kind of a more gentlemanly knife. I mean, I guess if you really want to be a front flipping ninja, You know, it's kind of long, slender, not very tall blade. I don't know if any of you ninjas out there use stuff like this. All right, we're back. So let's go ahead and let's get into what I like and what I don't like about this knife. So, contrary to what people might think because of things I've said on this channel, I do like Civivi knives, and the build quality is one of those reasons. This knife is built really, really well. Centering is perfect. Everything fits together nicely. You can tell that this knife was well thought out. So yeah. Next thing I do like the design of this knife. It is pretty plain. This knife is kind of plain, some might argue a little bit boring. I have criticized Civivi in the past for kind of setting their brand into a stereotypes of just drop like these, very simple, useful, but kind of boring aesthetic knives. And this knife does fall into that category for sure. But I do like the design of this knife, and one of the things I like so much is when it's folded up. I like this knife when it's folded up a whole lot. I'm a sucker for knives that fold where the blade, disappears entirely into the handle, or fairly close to entirely, like this knife here. Gives you a nice, just little cylinder shape object, and I like that. As a result of this cylindrical shaped object, it carries really nicely. The pocket clip is reversible, which is good. The Civivi clip works just fine. It's got plenty of spring to it. It climbs over your pocket nice. Wish the screws were flat. We'll get back to that, and we'll have some other things to say about the clip. But yeah, it does function as a clip pretty well. Okay, next thing. Access to the liner. They gave you this little cutout here. Very easy to disengage this lock, unlike a knife such as the CRK TCO, which this kind of compares to. Yeah. Next thing I like the chamfer that you have here on the edges of the G10. It's not contouring, but it does kind of give you that same effect of and please excuse my ugly crusty finger. It does give you that just a little bit more ergonomic presence, I guess is the word I'm looking for. This knife is not ergonomic, I'll say that right now, but the chamfers give it a little bit more of a ergonomic feeling. Just a little bit of something different in the hand, a little bit of something to kind of hold on to. So, yeah. Next thing, I like how they did a lanyard hole here, putting it in the back spacer. That's really, really cool. Knife itself is very light. As you can see in there, it is milled out quite a bit. The action is very nice. I think Civivi does good front flippers. Flies right out of there. And it's got a pretty good drop for such a small, light blade. The jimping on top of the flipper here is nice. It grabs you, and the flipper tab itself is shaped pretty well, just this flat shelf that comes out. It's pretty easy to flip this knife without hitting yourself back here with the flipper. That's good. So yeah, I like that a whole lot. Next thing, the blade is a good performer. D2 is a steel that I have no problem with. Of course, it's a Civivi. If there's one thing that Civivi consistently gets right, it's their blade grinds. And this one's no exception. Very thin, 14 thousandths behind the edge, hollow grind. Really, really nice performer. Nice, simple drop point blade. It's not a very big blade, and there's definitely certain tasks that this is not going to be the right knife for. But overall, this is a very useful blade for the type of knife this is. I'm thinking office carry, church carry, stuff like that, where you want to have a knife with you, but you don't want to, have a full-size knife maybe, for smaller EDC tasks, this is going to work fantastically. So yeah, that's what I like. One more thing I forgot to say about the build quality. Maybe I said it, I can't remember. The hardware is really nice on this. You have a pivot and one body screw, and of course your clip screws. But yeah, nice, simple construction, and they're T8s all around. That's really, really good to see. All right, let's go on to what I don't like. And the first thing we're going to start with is something I've talked about before. I don't like Civivi's G10. So they put, you see this milling here on the G10. Kind of gives you a little bit of grip, but it also makes the G10 just feel plasticky, and it looks kind of goofy. It kind of reminds me of a McDonald's play area for kids, as opposed to, let me grab a good example of G10. All right, I got 3 other examples of G10, and they're all blue, ironically. So we have the CJRB Feldspar, we have the Best Tech Lion. I dyed this knife, keep that in mind. And then we have the Damn Designs Cerberus. So I want to start with the Cerberus because it is the G10 that is most similar to Civivi. And of the 3 that I brought out here, this is my least favorite G10. But it's still better than Civivi's. And I think a lot of that is due to the texturing they did here. You can see they have like dimples instead of lines, and then they have just flat chamfers here. So that's nice. Again, though, this is just a little bit of a step up from this, in my opinion. Next, I want to bring out the Lion. So what you can see here is you can see the grain of that G10 really, really nicely. And it's smooth, but it just looks like a quality material as opposed to, again, kind of the fun plasticky look on that. So I like that G10 a whole lot. And then on the Best Tech, or on the CJRB Feldspar, let's focus in here. Again, you can see that nice pattern. But again, this is kind of, it's not exactly smooth, but it's not like, you know, listen to this. But another thing that this G10 has is it's contoured. Not the chamfers here that kind of mimic contouring. This one is fully contoured. Just, I've said this a bunch. I don't think Civivi's G10 is the best. It's not, certainly not my favorite material in the world. But yeah, there's that. Next thing, this pocket clip sucks. The screws aren't flat. The clip is not recessed. Functionally, the clip itself is okay. This does cause a little bit of a problem when getting it into your pants and sometimes getting it out. However, the biggest problem with this clip is a problem I've had with this type of clip on Civivi before. Excuse me. It's just horrible in the hand. It's terrible. This part sticks up, and the back here sticks up way too much, and especially on a knife that's this narrow, it's an ergonomic mess and a big fail. And speaking of ergonomics, the ergonomics on this knife are not that great in general. I'm not going to harp on this too much because, I mean, just looking at this knife, you know what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, the ergo's just, it's a straight stick, basically. Next thing, I wish there was jimping up here. I wish that the jimping they had on the flipper tab here, which this is really good jimping, I wish it extended a little bit further. I think that would have been helped with the ergonomics, just to give you a little bit of a more solid purchase on the knife, but not a huge deal. And next thing, this is kind of stupid, but it kind of bothers me. I wish this screw here was silver. I don't know, it just kind of is weird to me that it's just black. But that's not going to bother some people I know, so whatever, right? And yeah, that's all the dislikes and the likes. And I guess in the dislikes you can kind of put what I was saying about the it kind of being a plain looking knife, kind of generic. But again, this is one of Civivi's not early models, but earlier models. And yeah, I mean, for what it's meant to be, it's a good design. I like it. So we're going to stop right there. All right, Civivi Exarch. What are my final conclusions and everything? I like it. I like it. I think it's a good knife. Really excellent front flipper. Definitely has a place in the budget knife world. Speaking of which, the price on these guys is really good. I think these are under $50. They're between $45 and $50. Yikes! This poor table gets stabbed so many times. It's good. I like this knife. I do. Doesn't make it into my pocket as much as it used to when I first got it a year ago. No. But in preparation for this review, I took it out. I was carrying it a little bit more, and I just kind of, remembered why I like this knife. It is a good knife. I think Civivi does good front flippers for the most part. I think their action is really, really good for that. This knife does have some flaws. The pocket clip definitely is the biggest issue in my opinion, but it's a good budget front flipper. It really is. You can get these in all kinds of different colors as well, all kinds of different versions. I think they are even coming out with a Damascus version with brass or copper scales. Endless possibilities, endless. So yeah, and by the way, the name Exarch. What the heck does that mean? All right, guys, just a sec. Let me grab my computer and do a little Google. Exarch, bishop lower in rank than a patriarch. Okay. Or a governor of a distant province under the Byzantine emperors. All right, you know what? Okay, cool. I like the name. I was not familiar with that before I just Googled it. Cool. Yeah, that's nice. Anyways, that's going to wrap up this review, guys. Can I recommend this knife? Yes, I can. If you like what you see here and you want one, I can recommend it. I've been Gideon. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.